Hello. Would you like to manage your boss better? I'm already seeing a smile on your face. Everyone wants to do that. Everyone wants to learn that. And the points that I'm going to share with you will make it absolutely easy for you. Interested? Great. So, to manage your boss, you have to follow certain steps. And if you follow that, it'll be a cakewalk for you. So the first step that you need to follow is that treat your boss as a complete person. And what do I mean by complete person? He's not just your boss. He's a human being. He's a human being, remember that. And every human being has his or her own operating system. Everyone comes with their own fears, their own anxieties, their own apprehensions, their own limitations, right? And as you start understanding them, you may not know everything, but at least you can have it in your mind that boss also has his or her operating system, which is making that person behave in a certain way. The moment you do it, you'll be able to, you will say to yourself, he is like me only. And that's a great liberation that you get, and you start interacting with that person who is at a higher pedestal than you, because he or she is your boss, and you are able to empathize with that person much more. So see your boss as a complete person. Second one is understand the point of view of your boss. See, everyone has their own motives of doing certain things. Everyone is doing all those things for certain reasons. You may not know, you may not like it, but there is a reason that other person is doing certain, demonstrating certain behavior. And if you start understanding boss's point of view, and one of the easiest ways to do that is put yourself into the situation of your own boss and ask yourself, if you are in that situation, how would you handle the situation? And perhaps the answer that comes to you is absolutely similar to what your boss is doing in the given situation. Does that make sense? Yes, I know that it does. So check what your boss cares about. Check why does your boss does what he or she does. And that's when you'll be able to understand what are the drivers of the other person, what are the motives of the other person. And once you understand that, it becomes much easier to connect with your bosses. Third one is understand what are the goals he or she is working for. Because it's typically like this. If your boss is reprimanding you for having not achieved certain goals, it's because your goals are adding up to the goals of your boss, and it's a collective that comes to the boss's performance, and he is answerable, she is answerable, isn't it? So that is why it's important to understand what are the goals that your boss is working for, and the best thing that you can do is align your goals to the goals of your boss. And at the same time, if you can contribute by stretching yourself a little more to help your boss achieving his or her goals, I'm sure you will be able to connect with that person at a much better level. So this is the third point that I mentioned. Then fourth is acknowledge. Acknowledge how your boss has contributed to your learning and growth and your development. Ultimately, let's assume that you have worked together for sufficiently long period of time. So obviously, in your growth, your boss has also contributed a lot. I'm sure you must have faced situations where your boss actually protected you. I have experienced it many times. Things had gone out of my hand, and I had the back of my boss to handle the situation. And I'm so thankful to all such bosses that I've got. So similarly, your boss is contributing to your learning, your growth, your development, your promotions, your higher responsibilities, and so on. And you need to acknowledge that. If you can do that, not as a flattery, but you can very genuinely acknowledge that at certain platforms, please do that, right? And the second part of that is start setting boundaries. And how does it help? Setting boundaries brings a clarity in understanding that beyond this, it's not possible for me. Let's say a simple example is that you have made it clear to your boss that after I reach home at let's say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I don't take any official calls. This is a kind of a boundary that you have set. And it helps to get clarity in the expectations from each other. And the last one that I'm sharing is be free to express your concerns, not in the form of complaints, but in the form of changes that you would like to visualize, you would like to experience in that environment. And as you keep on practicing the ideas that I've shared with you, I'm sure you'll be able to develop a much better connect with your boss, and you'll be able to gel together much more easily.